In the arid cradles along the Nile where eternity touched mortal hands, the annals of ancient Egypt brimmed with tales of boundless ambition and indomitable spirit. Here, women defied boundaries, rising from shadowed corridors to illuminate history. Journey with us to the mighty reign of Hatshepsut, who ascended from the whispers of a patriarchal legacy to rule as a king in all but name. Venture further, where the papyrus scrolls reveal noble women as shrewd negotiators, trading lands with the dexterity of seasoned Moguls. In this world, women not only navigated the corridors of power, but etched their legacies in stone and soul. As we delve into the sands of time, we unearth a tale of power and ambition that defies the ordinary, a story of a woman who boldly took her place on Egypt's throne. Hatshepsut, an unparalleled figure, emerges in the dawn of the 18th dynasty, born to Pharaoh Thutmose III and Queen Ahmose. Her lineage awarded her not only royal privileges, but also a profound understanding of sacred traditions. Though women in Egypt held esteemed roles as consorts and priestesses, the throne was traditionally reserved for men. Yet, in a startling twist of fate, Hatshepsut's intelligence and ambition prepared her for a destiny few could imagine. Her marriage to her half-brother, Thutmose II, was a union to preserve the royal lineage, but his brief reign left a young heir, Thutmose III, too young to rule. Hatshepsut, as the most senior family member and widow, initially assumed the regency. The regency soon became a platform where she skillfully navigated the corridors of power. In a world of political opportunity, mingled with duty, she ascended, wielding authority with an expertise steeped in the lessons from her father and her own insights. The shift from regent to pharaoh was a monumental upheaval in Egyptian power dynamics. Hatshepsut's journey from caretaker to sovereign was unprecedented. Initially exercising power in her stepson's name, her authority grew, surpassing traditional limits. Gradually she adopted pharaonic titles and regalia, embracing the symbolic male guise essential for legitimacy. Her calculated coronation, etched into stone and immortalised in monuments, marked her complete transformation. She wore the false beard and Nemes headdress, asserting her position with striking confidence. This visual statement was a masterstroke, ensuring stability by navigating the complex landscape of ancient politics. Her architectural endeavours stand testament to her reign, most spectacularly at Deir el-Bahri. This mortuary temple, nestled among Theban cliffs, heralds her vision, a harmonious blend of innovation and tradition. Designed by Senenmut, her chief architect, the temple echoes her divine association through intricate carvings and vivid paintings. These images narrate her divine birth and portray her as a legitimate ruler, chosen by the gods. Inscriptions of her triumphant trade expedition to Punt further cement her legacy, showcasing a reign characterized by prosperity and strategic diplomacy. Hatshepsut embodied the defiance of existing norms with her reign as a female pharaoh. Ancient Egypt was familiar with influential queens, but none had worn the pharaoh's double crown. Her decision to depict herself as male in her representations was a deliberate gambit to transcend the constraints of her gender. Her reign, though enduringly scrutinised, projected continuity and strength amidst a conservative backdrop, eager to preserve tradition. Under her leadership, Egypt flourished. The celebrated expedition to Punt epitomised her economic foresight. This journey, vividly portrayed in her temple, brought back exotic goods like ebony, gold and myrrh, enriching the kingdom. Such economic successes were not merely ceremonial, they highlighted her active engagement in Egypt's prosperity. Hatshepsut's vision extended beyond temporal bounds, intertwining the divine and the practical into a cohesive strategy that elevated the nation. Yet, even amidst triumphs, her reign faced political tumult. The patriarchy she navigated demanded constant reaffirmation of her authority. Dissent brewed within royal and religious circles, challenging her unprecedented role. As Thutmose III matured, tensions likely escalated, setting the stage for potential intrigues. Despite these pressures, her adeptness ensured stability and longevity in her governance, a testament to her political acumen. Upon her death, controversy tethered to her legacy emerged. Efforts to efface her from history culminated in a campaign led by Thutmose III to obliterate her memory, a move rooted in reclaiming traditional hierarchies. Her monuments and statues faced destruction in a politically motivated act of damnatio memoriae, intended to restore the narrative of male succession. Despite these deliberate erasures, modern archaeology has resurrected Hatshepsut's story, piecing together her influential reign from surviving fragments. Her legacy is one of triumph and pioneering spirit, an unyielding reminder of a ruler who redefined norms and embraced visionary leadership. Hatshepsut's story remains a compelling reflection on the capacities of those who dare to breach societal barriers. Her narrative, both a testament to the universal human struggle against imposed boundaries and a quest for one's rightful place in the world, resonates powerfully through the ages. In the grand narrative of history, she stands luminous, a pharaoh in spirit and deed, whose indelible mark continues to inspire and intrigue, echoing vividly across millennia. In ancient Egypt, where the shifting sands and the mighty Nile dictated life, property ownership was not just about wealth, it was a lifeline, a beacon of influence and survival. The Wilbur Papyrus, a remarkable document from the late Ramesside period, reveals an astonishing truth unknown to many. Women were active participants as property owners and landlords. This was not mere trivia buried in the annals of history. It was a testament to their agency in a world often misinterpreted through modern patriarchal lenses. Picture the banks of the Nile, where fertile land laid the groundwork for empires. Women cunningly navigated the murky waters of property law, their stewardship resembling the rivers, nurturing of the soil. They crafted their roles within societal norms, not through rebellion but through astute management. Property ownership required not only inheritance, but also keen negotiation skills, an understanding of bureaucratic intricacies, and the ability to blend seamlessly into male-dominated arenas. These women were proto-capitalists, weaving gender roles into the economic tapestry of agriculture, where their seemingly shadowy figures cast long shadows of influence. Among the nobility, the stakes were different but equally crucial. Noble women were not mere beneficiaries of their father's wealth. They wielded land as a tool of political and familial stability. Their vast estates were not accidents of birth, but were critical components in alliances cemented through marriage, or kept safe as the reserves backing a dynasty's fortune. In these high-stakes games, land was more than a resource. It was legacy and leverage, precious tools for navigating the shifting sands of power. These women operated within complex webs of expectations, skillfully managing those under their care, supporting temples, or orchestrating grand religious events, solidifying familial standing while ensuring their lineages thrived. In contrast, peasant women lived a life marked by toil rather than paperwork, their connection to the land cemented through sweat and resilience. Under the watchful eyes of landowners, They laboured side by side with men, their contributions measured in the rise and fall of the Nile's waters. Though their stories are less frequently told in pompous records, their role was pivotal, maintaining the backbone of an empire. Their success stories, modest as they were, spoke volumes. A garden yielding bountiful harvests, or the cooperative sharing of resources among neighbours. Their perseverance mirrored the steadfast flow of the Nile, vital and unyielding, amidst a structure offering little social mobility. But property ownership in ancient Egypt was a tapestry of law interwoven with divine edict and temporal power. The rights enshrined within the papyrus were more than decrees. They were carefully constructed narratives, complex frameworks women navigated with tenacity. Involved in property transactions, these women emerged as dynamic players in economic discourse, not just holders of wealth, but strategists adept at negotiation, understanding legal nuances and familial intricacies, even dabbling in state politics when necessary. Their tenacity is recorded in documents mainly highlighting the elite. Yet even amid these stories, their strength and strategy shine through. For noblewomen, property management on a grand scale was akin to being the chief executive of a modern enterprise. Their holdings were the microcosms of the wider Egyptian economy, interconnected with broader societal and governmental networks. To sustain these estates, they wielded inherited knowledge and innovative problem solving, ensuring their family legacies remained robust. They took charge of contracts, supervised agricultural endeavours, and maintained relations with labourers, drawing from the cultural wisdom surrounding them. The pragmatic entrepreneurship and social acumen demanded of them became the bedrocks upon which their power and their families stood. Ownership of land carried echoes of power beyond simple economics. It was an emblem of social standing and enduring influence. Where men often dominated public spheres, women wielded private power, strengthening their families' roles through shrewd economic and domestic management. Land was bound to narratives of identity, the mythos of fertility, and the bounty of the earth, turning caretakers into stewards of legacy, economic vitality, and social identity. And then there were the spiritual dimensions and connections between land and divine favour, especially pertinent to those tied to religious institutions. By endowing lands to temples, women practiced acts of piety that transcended economic gain, securing spiritual and social standing for themselves and their families. This devotion, blending economics with faith, ensured their parts in maintaining spiritual traditions and communal welfare, embedding within their actions the promise and threat of the gods' goodwill. Disputes inevitably arose, and women, defying confining societal parameters, stepped into battles over land, pressing claims with resilience and courage. These engagements provide glimpses into the realms of justice and property law, telling of women who, armed with knowledge and determination, fought for their rights, against both familiar hoops and unexpected threats. These stories of contention and resolution spotlight their keen engagement with their society's socio-legal structures, crafting narratives of resilience echoing through history. The influence of these early matriarchs lingers, their manoeuvres setting groundwork for evolving discussions of property law and gender dynamics. Their actions speak as silent yet sovereign narratives, shaping modern reflections on ownership, agency, and equity. As we recount their tales, they emerge not as beneficiaries of history, but as agents of their destiny, carving from stone and papyrus a journey toward recognition. Their legacies, carved through endurance and strategy, remain unseen yet steadfast, much like the Nile that once nourished their world. In the twilight of ancient Egypt, beneath the ceaseless gaze of the gods, women healers walked a path illuminated by both reverence and secrecy. Stepping lightly through the cloisters of time, these midwives balanced on the razor's edge between life and death, holding newborns aloft amidst the sacred murmur of incantations. Their ancient world was no sterile field. Superstition, religion, and nascent medical knowledge were inextricably woven, a tapestry coloured by the whispers of gods and the raw clay of human understanding. These women, less practitioners of modern medicine than custodians of arcane wisdom, cradled a power that danced beyond mere healing, reaching deep into the sacred. Childbirth in ancient Egypt was a summit of both peril and power. The air buzzed with a palpable tension. Unseen spirits, it was said, hovered close, drawn by the struggle of creation. Midwives stood as stalwarts against these threats, their methods a complex blend of practical skill and mystical safeguards. Honey to ward off infection shared sacred space, with chants intended to lull both body and spirit. In their hands, the Ebers papyrus, a scroll of aged wisdom, held not just medical recommendations, but a spiritual tapestry, prescribing remedies and chants to placate the capricious divine. Within the hushed tones of delivery rooms, adorned with images of Tawere and Bes, the midwives' whispers echoed, sheltering mothers under wings of tradition and folklore. Women were not merely sidelined figures in this medical narrative. They were pivotal, their expertise etched into the very fabric of Egyptian healthcare. The Ebers papyrus, its pages a blend of ancient remedies ranging from the botanical to the celestial, reaffirms their vital role. Disease stood not just as a biological malfunction, but a divine dissonance, a cosmic imbalance in need of remedy, both spiritual and physical. Herbs like fennel and cumin, praised for their healing properties even in modern context, mingled with the mystical power of amulets, each charged with protective energies drawn from the gods themselves. These amulets, sculpted from stone and faience, held more than decorative appeal. They were talismans in the truest sense, believed to channel divine intercession for safe passage through life's gravest ordeals. The pregnant wore Taware's likeness for protection, trusting in her fierce visage to guard against unseen malevolence. These artifacts spoke to a fusion of belief and practice, where tangible reassurance met the ethereal whims of the divine, providing a spirituality that comforted as tangibly as it supposedly healed. Herbal knowledge among Egyptian healers revealed a sophistication that confounds modernity's assumed monopoly on medicinal wisdom. Garlic for strength, coriander for the stomach, all curated recipes found in the Ebers papyrus, paint a portrait of a society with insight deep as the Nile, capable of distilling potent curatives from its bounty. These concoctions, imparted with ritualistic flair, fused word with plant, belief with practice, performing their own alchemical dance to heal body and spirit alike. Each sip or salve was an act of faith, underscoring that healing was as much about reinvigorating spirit as it was mending flesh. Within this framework, the division between science and spirituality blurred into non-existence. Women, midwives, and healers navigated this potent mix with deft assurance, drawing no hard lines between the empirical and the divine. Here, a spell was not fanciful. It was a necessary weaving of protection through word and herb, a practice that respected the capricious interference of gods in mortal affairs. This approach tethered logical pragmatism to devout supplication, a uniquely Egyptian philosophy where both were given their due weight. Embodying this sacred duality, the women who guided the critical act of birth left an indelible mark on their civilization. Their authority, affirmed by celestial sanction and community reliance alike, translated into a form of empowerment rare in many ancient cultures. These midwives tread the fine line between the earthly and the divine, their hands shaping not just new life but a societal reverence for the feminine power innate in healing and nourishment. Amidst sagas of conquest and pharaohs, the quieter legacy of these women endures, rippling through time into our current understanding of healthcare's nurturing soul. Embedded in the hieroglyphs and tombs, their quiet arc is a testament to an age where science whispered alongside spirit, leaving modernity to decipher the echoes of their resilient grace. These women carved a niche where healing wasn't confined to the physical realm, but stretched into the mystical narrative shaping Egyptian life and belief. Through their insight and intuition, we glimpse a civilization's humanity, the inseparable bond of life, and the divine, eternal across time's shore. In the heart of the sprawling Karnak temple complex, where incense mingled with the whispers of gods, the gods' wives of Amun orchestrated the sacred symphony of ancient Egypt. This vast religious site, the most extensive of its time, encapsulated the cosmic mysteries within its labyrinthine courts, where the chants of rituals echoed through towering columns adorned with intricate hieroglyphs. Nestled within this sacred city, the high priestesses wielded power akin to the pharaohs, balancing spiritual significance with worldly influence as they maintained Mayat, the essential divine order. Their steps during grand ceremonies seem to resonate with Egypt's very heartbeat, embodying the unseen pulse of the ancient world. The god's wife of Amun was both a title and a mantle of immense power, claiming its roots in the political intricacies of the 18th dynasty. These formidable women used the position to unite sanctity with royal might, often through carefully arranged political marriages that merged souls for stability and dominance. Their authority transcended contemporary gender norms, granting them control traditionally reserved for the male elite. As stewards of vast temple estates, they commanded lands and riches with astute precision, ensuring loyalty from those under their purview, and playing a crucial role in significant events like the Opet festival. These priestesses were more than spiritual stewards. They were vital players in a society where religious fervour intertwined seamlessly with its economic and political threads. Their duties went beyond the spiritual. They were central to the elaborate ceremonies that punctuated Egyptian life, acting as the connective tissue that bound the earthly to the divine. At dawn, the temple complex buzzed with solemn activity as they undertook rituals of purification, draped in sacred regalia and immersed in traditions that stretched back through the annals of time. Their actions were not simply routine, they were performances of divine theatre that anchored Egypt's spiritual and societal stability. The influence wielded by the gods' wives reached far beyond ritual altars. Entrenched in court dynamics, their counsel was sought by pharaohs who relied on their spiritual legitimacy to bolster rule. This duality of power was symbiotic. The high priestesses provided spiritual clout, while skillfully manipulating the political landscape to reinforce their standing. Their residences often became centres of delicate diplomacy and negotiation, where cloaked in spiritual authority, they could nudge statecraft from the shadows. The gods' wives' economic dominion was formidable, stemming from their stewardship over the temple's sprawling estates. These were not merely spiritual havens, but hubs of economic vigour that bolstered the local economy through agriculture and trade. Under their management, temple lands thrived, producing and distributing crops that sustained both the nation and its surplus trade. Their economic acumen allowed them to act as patrons of culture and benefactors of public projects, cementing their status as both spiritual leaders and community pillars. Succession within the ranks of these priestesses followed a sacred tradition intertwined with political nuance. Selection was a meticulous process involving political alignments and deep religious devotion. New gods' wives were often drawn from noble bloodlines, their ascension a symbol of celestial terrestrial concord. These transitions, marked by lavish ceremonies, were not merely for show, they ensured the continuing alliance between the deities and Egypt's ruling class. In their crafted adornments lay the symbols of sovereign power. The regalia of the gods' wives was more than decorative. It was a testament to their divine connection, each piece carefully chosen to enhance their spiritual role. Bearing crowns like the modius and wrapped in garments rich with religious symbolism, their appearance was a poignant reminder of their role as intermediaries between the mortal and the divine. Their depictions in art, overseeing rituals alongside deities, etched their authority firmly into the cultural consciousness. Ultimately, the gods' wives served as custodians of sacred knowledge. Immersed in the complex and nuanced doctrines of Egyptian faith, they maintained oral traditions critical to temple life. Their comprehensive education covered sacred texts, hymns, and the esoteric symbology of hieroglyphs, cementing their status as learned custodians of Egypt's spiritual and intellectual legacy. Their instruction, imparted to the elites young, ensured the perpetuation of a tradition resilient against the changing tides of time. Yet, their position was not immune to the upheavals of history. Shifts in power tested their resilience, and under Amenhotep IV's radical reforms, their influence waned as established religious frameworks were dismantled. Despite these challenges, the gods' wives adapted with unparalleled agility, their legacy enduring through restoration and renewal, indicating a deeper cultural respect for their spiritual mediation. Through the echoes of time, the legacy of the gods' wives of Amun endures, a vivid testament to their profound impact on religion and society. Their influence persists in the stone inscriptions, the artifacts, and the ongoing scholarship that continues to uncover the depth of their roles. Their story offers invaluable insights into the complexities of gender, faith, and power, presenting a narrative where the sacred and societal were tightly woven. As we excavate the past, the intricate dance of authority, belief, and culture within ancient Egypt becomes strikingly clear, illuminating a world guided by these formidable women under the watchful eyes of the gods. In ancient Egypt, the majestic Nile River served not only as the artery of agriculture and trade, but also as a sprawling communal bathhouse. The daily rituals of hygiene for the average Egyptian were intertwined with the river's ebb and flow, creating scenes reminiscent of bustling public bathhouses, where men, women, and children engaged in lively ablutions. Egyptian frescoes capture these vibrant moments, filled with laughter and splashing, each family or gender group observing an unwritten etiquette that ensured privacy and order. To touch the Nile was to commune with the gods, with each cleansing act doubling as a spiritual purification, reinforcing the belief that purging the dust of the desert was akin to washing away one's inner impurities. Yet bathing in the Nile wasn't without its hazards and taboos. Crocodiles lurked, and seasonal floods threatened safety, carving a hazardous edge into an essential ritual. The wealthy, however, coveted quieter waters, creating intimate, exclusive bathing experiences within their homes. Courtyards and rooftops sheltered ceramic tubs, filled by diligent servants who perfumed the waters with fragrant oils, an opulence unavailable to the common folk. Here the luxurious notes of rose and myrrh wafted serenely, contrasting sharply with the chaotic riverbank, a reflection of Egypt's social hierarchy, etched in the very waters they bathed in. Cleanliness transcended mere personal hygiene in Egypt. It was a divine decree echoed through temple walls. Priests were scrupulously clean, washing repeatedly each day to maintain spiritual purity, ensuring their fitness for sacred duties. The Book of the Dead itself speaks to the importance of cleanliness, linking it to favourable afterlife judgments. Beyond temple confines, everyone from villagers to pharaohs engaged in grooming dictated by religious codes. Rituals like nail clipping, hair grooming, and body hair removal reflected a cultural yearning for Ma'at, an eternal balance and harmony governing both mortal realms and celestial skies. In daily life, personal hygiene was more than health or vanity. It was a path to divine alignment, with inscriptions and daily mantras from papyri to temple carvings reinforcing the sanctity of this ritual purification. Cosmetics were more than embellishments. They were declarations of identity and status etched in malachite green and coal black, blending utility with spirituality. Protecting against the desert sun, the rimming of eyes held deeper meanings, warding off the evil eye and blurring social lines, as these practices were universally adopted across classes. Yet the particulars of cosmetic routines, ornate combs, mirrors, and jars of scented oils, hinted at the wearer's wealth and standing. Noble women staged elaborate beautification rituals, their opulence captured in archaeological finds, showcasing artful creations that transform personal grooming into grand displays of social diplomacy. Perfumes resonated with divine essence, capturing the god's favour with every precious drop. Perfume making was an art steeped in reverence, intertwined with temple rites and religious ceremonies. Complex blends using frankincense and myrrh adorned alabaster jars, each scent a testament to spiritual significance, from sacred embalming to daily life. Even common Egyptians sought fragrances in humble forms, crafting scents from local herbs and flowers for everyday allure or protection. Their aromatic traditions revealed an intricate understanding of the senses, using aromas as beacons of emotion and spiritual navigation, binding the visible and invisible worlds. In grooming, ancient Egyptian society displayed a surprising fluidity between genders. Both men and women shared grooming practices, from head shaving to wearing wigs, a necessity to battle hot, arid climates. Wigs made from hair or plant fibres, protected from the harsh sun, serving as versatile fashion statements adorned with jewels. Grooming crossed gender lines, with men equally indulging in scents and cosmetics, crafting shared beauty ideals. Social grooming became a communal experience, akin to modern salons where discussions flowed and allegiances formed amidst the careful pluck of a tweezer or the stroke of a brush. The allure of youth everlasting captivated ancient Egyptians who pursued remedies to defy time's inexorable march. Skincare rituals using honey, milk and aloe fought aging tirelessly, as documented in ancient texts like the Ebers Papyrus. These treatments, revered as sacred ceremonies, paralleled with the pursuit of Ma'at, promised not just beauty, but a symbol of divine favour and vitality. Youth was entwined with power, seen as a reflection of timeless godliness, propelling an eternal quest for youth that echoed through vibrant court life. and the artistic realm. Hair signified status and identity, echoing one's age, status, and beliefs. Children sported the lock of youth until maturity, while adults styled elaborate headdresses and wigs. Hairdressers were revered, trusted figures, crafting styles woven with gold and beads, declaring status and belief alike. Headdresses transcended fashion. They were symbols of divine kingship for pharaohs and practical headbands for labourers. Materials, papyrus reeds to gold, symbolise power and divine favour, weaving individuality into the societal fabric. Yet paradoxically, hygiene carried its prohibitions. Cultural taboos arose around bathing, dictating conditions under which purification might offend divine sensibilities. Menstrual cycles imposed restrictions on women, reflecting spiritual as much as cultural prohibitions. Ritual purity could require abstention from water, sanctifying spiritual over physical needs. The scarcity of clean water elevated these rituals' community ethos, urging a thoughtful dance between spiritual mandates and pragmatic necessities. In the sands of time, daily hygiene tools, combs, toothsticks, and cosmetic pots, emerge as artifacts of innovation. Each tool reflects a blend of utility and artistry, from ornate ivory combs to simple clay jars. Museums honour these ancient practices, showcasing toothbrushes crafted from twigs, revealing the rich history underpinning basic hygiene routines. These rituals of self-care from bustling villages to grand courts breathe life into ancient remains. As these relics whisper from the quiet shadow of pyramids, they tell of a civilization tirelessly committed to beauty, bathing, and being. In ancient Egyptian society, where literacy was a prized rarity, female scribes were a captivating anomaly. Their ability to wield the pen placed them at a unique crossroads of power and tradition. Writing, a revered skill surrounded by an air of mystery, granted these women a voice in legal and economic matters, temple rituals, and historical records. Although fewer in number compared to their male counterparts, female scribes held sway in temple economies and legal arenas. Becoming stewards of sacred texts and law, they chronicled lives and legacies. From property transactions to temple decrees, their writings wielding influence over societal norms and expectations. As we delve deeper, we find these women moving beyond temple walls into broader aspects of Egyptian life. Inscriptions from ancient papyri unravel stories of women documenting family histories, crafting contracts, and even representing parties in disputes. Their role wasn't confined to mere documentation. They actively engaged in legal processes, ensuring their voices echoed in courtrooms where they sometimes stood as litigants or witnesses. Through their skilled hands, the societal tapestries of gender, law, and economy were woven, the delicate threads preserving their influence for both contemporary and future echoes. The legal realm of ancient Egypt was not devoid of feminine presence. Women found themselves intertwined with the justice system, acting as participants, witnesses, or defenders of their rights and family interests. Through legal disputes, marriage contracts, and inheritance discussions, women left their mark on the ever-shifting landscape of justice. Their involvement underscored the delicate balance of gender in this ancient civilization, highlighting the agency they possessed in navigating customary and written laws to secure their family's legacy. The economic prowess of temples added another layer to the multifaceted roles of female scribes. These sacred bastions were not only religious sanctuaries, but also mighty economic hubs, where female scribes played pivotal roles. Entrusted with documenting vast transactions and allocations, Their writings bore witness to an intricate web of temple economies. They chronicled the flow of goods, rations, and grand offerings, each stroke of the stylus reinforcing the connection between divine mandates and earthly administrations. Moreover, temple scribes were integral to the delicate choreography of sacred ceremonies, ensuring that ancient rites unfolded with precision and reverence. They recorded rituals that were the lifeline of Egyptian religious life, preserving these spiritual practices for generations to come. Through their meticulous documentation, they became the unseen narrators of the nation's spiritual pulse, weaving their insights into the religious tapestry of ancient Egypt. Writing for these women was a conduit to the divine. The sacred act of inscribing names and narratives was viewed as a mystical ceremony, granting them a reverent status. Their participation in inscribing religious texts and chronicles granted them a role akin to magic, bridging gods with mortals. Female scribes ensured the continuity of religious narratives, preserving the annals of mythology that united culture and belief systems. They engraved divine actions and edicts into temple walls, their work a testament to the seamless union of law, legacy, and life. But the role of the female scribe went beyond passive documentation. They actively participated in the administration of law and justice, their recordings maintaining social order and moral equilibrium. As guardians of legal texts, their authority stemmed from the consistency and fairness they ensured within legal proceedings. They offered counsel, mediated disputes, and facilitated justice, revealing a legal framework where women played pivotal roles in governance and morality. In a society where the scribe's role was a coveted position, endowed with prestige, female scribes extended their influence beyond paper. Their literacy, a rarity in itself, allowed them to shape family dynamics, steer trade discussions, and resolve local disputes. Their skills opened doors to pathways of influence and respect in a traditionally male-dominated realm. Through their literacy, they forged connections with noble households and temples, their writings not just records but reflections of the broader social and political conversations of their time. Education, a gateway to opportunity, was largely the province of the elite, and for women, even more so. Daughters of scribes and officials gained a coveted education that armed them with tools to traverse social hierarchies and engage with power dynamics. Literacy elevated their status, transcending conventional gender roles, and facilitating societal participation in ways otherwise unattainable to women of lesser means. The presence of women as scribes, a blend of paradox and power, challenges the monolithic narratives of gender dynamics. Female scribes, with their skills in literacy and law, navigated societal structures traditionally marked by masculine dominance. They occupied both revered and restricted spaces. Their roles are testament to their resilience and adaptability within an intricate gender framework. The legacy of these female scribes resonates far beyond their time, their meticulous writings preserving the fabric of Egyptian civilization. Through them, a link emerges between the past and the present, reminding us of the enduring power of literacy and the transformative influence of those who dared to wield the pen. In the shifting sands of ancient Egypt, where pharaohs seemed to stand alone as towering titans, the role of queens often appeared subdued. Yet beneath this facade lay a potent truth. These queens were vital architects of Egypt's fate, wielding influence that silently shaped the land's destiny. Nefertari, the esteemed consort of Ramses II, epitomizes this understated power. Her tomb, a masterpiece of ancient artistry, reveals not just grandeur but deep reverence, a symbol of her recognised status in both earthly and divine realms. Painted among deities, Nefertari's image marks a role that extended beyond ceremonial duties to encompass true power, her elegance interwoven with political savvy in the heart of the royal court. These queens, confidants and advisors to their husbands, navigated the kingdom's tumultuous politics with deft precision. Letters like those exchanged in the Amarna archives between Akhenaten's court and foreign dignitaries reveal a world where queens like Nefertiti stepped beyond domestic confines into the realm of diplomacy, acting as mediators and strategic negotiators. The letters detail the unseen but potent hand of queens steering the empire towards stability amid a web of alliances that fortified Egypt's egalitarian stature. These quiet architects challenge long-held narratives, revealing a complex tapestry woven by queens whose influence was both enigmatic and formidable. Within this weave of political strategy, religion and politics coalesced into a singular force. Queens were deemed divine intermediaries, and positions such as the god's wife of Amun vested them with unparalleled influence over spiritual and temporal affairs. Initially ceremonial, this role evolved into a potent political seat that even challenged the pharaoh's authority. Hatshepsut once deftly harnessed these spiritual rites to bolster her claim as pharaoh. Over time, the role became synonymous with control over temple wealth and resources, marrying spiritual clout with economic might. Here lies the irony. In a male-dominated world, women enthroned through religious authority commanded real power. The correspondence of queens offers a window into their profound diplomacy. Nefertari's letters, for example, reveal correspondence with foreign powers like the King of Ugarit, showcasing her role in maintaining alliances that stretch beyond Egypt's borders. Crafted with keen political insight, these letters enabled queens to negotiate peace and diplomacy amidst the complex chessboard of ancient geopolitics. Queens like Tiye and Nefertiti used their correspondence to weave alliances and negotiations, suggesting far more than ceremonial occupation. They were pivotal agents of statecraft, deeply involved in the realm's vast diplomatic networks. Beyond negotiation tables, queens embodied the ceremonial heart of Egypt, orchestrating grand festivals and essential rituals ingrained in the culture. Ceremonies depicted on temple walls illustrate queens like Nefertari amidst divine processions during events such as the Opet festival, which forged the monarchy's divine legitimacy. Such appearances, beyond mere spectacle, strategically underscored unity and strength, reinforcing both their position and Egypt's sacred order. The meticulous orchestration of these public events by queens underlied their shrewd understanding of their symbolic power within society's hierarchy, an indelible imprint on Egypt's cultural tapestry. In the royal court, the role of queens as mothers held paramount significance, ensuring the dynasty's continuity hinged on their ability to produce heirs. Queens such as Ahmose Nefertari are celebrated both in statuary and inscription as wisdom-filled maternal figures, key to nurturing future rulers. Their tutelage carried profound implications, ensuring that the pharaohs-to-be were schooled in statecraft and spiritual wisdom. This maternal influence, combined with the queen's political intuitions, helped safeguard the dynasty, fortifying the royal succession against factional intrigue and ensuring the realm's continuity. Yet their power was not without peril. Queens found themselves at the crossroads of political turmoil, such as Ankhesenamun during the tumultuous end of the Amarna period. After her husband's untimely death, she unravelled in a tempest of regency conflicts, negotiating with foreign powers in a bid to secure her future. Proximity to power made them susceptible to scrutiny and intrigue. Queens like Cleopatra VII faced domestic and foreign opposition, challenging their manoeuvrability. These tales of political resilience highlight the precarious tangle of loyalty, intrigue, and survival they inhabited. Art immortalised these queens as cultural icons, beacons of beauty, elegance, and authority. The famed bust of Nefertiti exemplifies this portrayal, with serene beauty conveying both regality and vulnerability. The visual depictions maintain their divine roles, promising an enduring legacy that transcended mortality. Just as art celebrated sovereignty, it also revealed glimpses of their human challenges and triumphs, ensuring that the Queen's mystique resonated beyond their eras. Embracing both tradition and innovation, queens like Hatshepsut broke contemporary moulds to redefine feminine authority. Consolidating her power as pharaoh, she pursued bold ventures from trade expansions to architectural marvels like the Temple of Karnak, demonstrating leadership that transcended gender norms. Through strategic advancements and adaptive propaganda, she projected power, showcasing an astute blend of tradition and renewal that left an indelible mark on history. These queens behind the throne remind us of the resilience and fortitude these women showcased amid ancient Egypt's patriarchal dominion. Through their subtle manoeuvres, they left a legacy etched in stone and memory, their influence echoing through history as symbols of indomitable spirit and powerful legacy, unfurling tales of strength and ambition that resonate even today. In ancient Egypt, a woman standing before a loom was not merely weaving fabric, she was spinning the threads of the domestic economy. Their dexterous hands transformed wool and flax into textiles, serving not just as clothing, but as a form of currency in bustling markets. As the sun poured its golden hues over the Nile, groups of women gathered, their chatter mingling with the sound of the loom's rhythm. These sessions became the heartbeats of their communities, where news was exchanged, alliances forged, and social fabrics, much like the textiles they created, were intricately woven. In managing households, these women were akin to formidable entrepreneurs, balancing the delicate scales of production and trade. Textile production granted them a subtle authority, a power embroidered into the very fabric of everyday life. Passed down through generations, these skills gave their roles a continuity that transcended time. They wielded significant influence, managing goods unseen yet essential, their prowess in domestic arts reflecting a quiet dominance over familial and local economies. Textiles were not simply threads woven into cloth, they were wealth manifested. Women, through their skilled weaving, became potent economic agents, bartering fabrics for commodities or favours within the social hierarchy. In papyri like the Wilbur papyrus, one discerns glimpses of their participation in socio-economic exchanges that tied the microcosm of their households to vast trade networks. Skilled weavers often transcended societal layers, their craft not only a source of prosperity, but a pathway to enhanced social status, allowing them a degree of independence unique in ancient patriarchal constructs. Yet as much as these textiles were economic building blocks, they also echoed the hierarchies of society. In the rural cottages, the loom's persistent clatter signalled women's effort to weave their family survival, intertwining community needs with tireless hands. In higher social strata, noble women orchestrated the production of luxurious textiles, their influence extending through the distribution and trade of these sought-after goods. Both labour and luxury, bound by a loom, depicted the societal stratification intrinsic to ancient life. But their sovereignty over weaving was accompanied by mastery over animals, expanding their influence into vital economic sectors. Beyond their households, women expertly managed livestock, cattle, sheep and goats, critical to both agriculture and spiritual life. Excavations reveal evidence of women making strategic decisions in breeding and trade, ensuring livestock thrived under their care. These animals were not only sources of sustenance but repositories of wealth, and thus pathways to a woman's financial autonomy and family strength. In Egypt's spiritual tapestry, creatures bore divine significance, and women frequently found themselves entwined in these sacred bonds. Consider Hathor, the cow goddess, a symbol of fertility, a notion deeply revered and managed with devotion by women who tended the herds that bore her blessing. Such spiritual connections cemented women's roles in both the agrarian and divine realms, granting them unique avenues of influence and respect. Women's management of sacred cows and other livestock was reflected in religious rituals where they orchestrated offerings and sacrifices, cementing their importance in these ceremonies. Historical records depict their participation, illustrating how women harnessed religious symbolism to bolster their roles in society. Such intersections of practical and spiritual stewardship granted them respect and acknowledgement, echoing through ancient Egyptian civilization as women leveraged their expertise in shaping their communities. Excavations at Deir el-Medina, for instance, provide glimpses into the realities of everyday life, where women were depicted supervising staff and managing household economies. This involvement extended beyond simple chores into the sophistication of trade networks, reinforcing their centrality in maintaining social and economic stability. A middle-class scribe's household, like that of Nakt, illustrates how women balance domestic responsibilities with economic pursuits, reinforcing their indispensable roles in their households and beyond. Their expertise in managing wool and flax was critical. Flax, cultivated along the nourishing banks of the Nile, was transformed into linen, an esteemed fabric integral to Egypt's trade and culture. Mastering the art of spinning flax was a testament to their skill, making Egyptian linen a prized commodity across markets. Though less prominent, wool also played a key role, managed expertly by women who ensured the full cycle from sheep to garment was under their control, thus linking the agricultural with the artisanal. While women's work remained bounded by gendered labour divisions, their contributions drove the economic engines of society. Textile tasks were shared within structured hierarchies. Lower status labour contrasted with refined crafts overseen by skilled women, reinforcing societal roles. Through these crafts, women's work was essential, ensuring not just household stability, but community vitality. Animals were allies in economic endeavours and spiritual realms alike. Women's relationships with these creatures enriched their households and granted them economic levers in a male-dominated society. Whether she was standing by a loom amidst women who shared laughter and stories or managing livestock under the morning sun, the Egyptian woman was a weaver of both fabric and fate. Through her deft hands flowed the narratives and prosperity of ancient Egypt, her legacy woven into the rich tapestry of a civilization where her silent strength shaped a timeless narrative. In the shadow of the enduring pyramids and alongside the iconic Nile, Ancient Egypt's true lifeblood pulsed not in grand monuments, but in the rich, fertile soil that sustained a civilization. Women were far from ornamental figures in this agrarian epic. They were indispensable architects of the nation's prosperity, quietly yet significantly shaping the fields that fed an empire. Ostraca and papyri, akin to casual notes and formal manuscripts, paint a vivid portrait of women deeply embedded in economic enterprise, a stark contrast to their often diminished roles in other ancient societies. Throughout the territories fed by the Nile's rhythmic floods, Egyptian women were not merely passive participants, but active stewards of the land. Historical records hint that while men might have physically tilled the earth, women orchestrated the intricate management of estates, particularly when land ownership conferred status and power. These women, often nobles or landowners, skillfully directed agricultural endeavours. They navigated the cycles of planting and harvesting, adept at ensuring their fields yielded bounty, despite climate uncertainties or the erratic flooding of the Nile. The fields teemed with crops essential to Egyptian life, from emmer wheat to barley, a staple for sustenance and brewing alike. Here, women utilised ancestral wisdom, blending it with inventive techniques to enhance productivity. They understood soil and water like a familiar melody, crafting adaptive strategies to maintain fertile abundance. Their decisions were crucial when the fickle Nile chose dryness over its generous floods, forcing them to balance human ingenuity against natural demands. Beyond these lush fields brimming with possibility, marketplaces thrived as vibrant testaments to Egyptian commerce. Here, women shook off domestic shadows to stand as formidable traders, their voices vibrant in a symphony of bartering, surrounded by the hum of market life under the watchful protection of the goddess Isis. In these bustling arenas, they demonstrated a keen grasp of value, rarity, and demand, making every transaction a calculated testament to their acumen and survival instinct. Their roles were complex and integral, requiring not just a knack for economics but a mastery of social dynamics. Women adeptly navigated this energetic dance, weaving alliances and outsmarting rivals, their strategies often weaving economic outcomes with cultural exchanges. Market days bristled with more than just goods. They were the crossroads of stories and innovation, each trade a small thread in the vast tapestry of life weaving Egypt's local and export economies together. In this land where the sacred and secular merged, spirituality punctuated agricultural life through festivals dedicated to deities like Osiris and Hathor. Women's roles were gloriously displayed in these sacred celebrations, where rituals and processions acknowledged divine gifts of fertility and harvest, cementing women's central place in the fabric of divine favour and human toil. These events were not mere celebrations, but public recognitions of their substantial economic contributions, with rites and ceremonies reinforcing their critical roles. Their authoritative presence in economic affairs is underscored by property records that catalogue women's legal dealings in land, revealing them as adept navigators of Egypt's legal frameworks. Historical texts such as the Wilbur Papyrus illuminate a world where women owned, leased and managed properties, their decisions carving paths through the intricate avenues of power and wealth, every contract a testament to their strategic foresight. Skills often passed through matrilineal knowledge. Mothers taught daughters the art of cultivation, translating inherited wisdom into savvy practices. Such familial mentorships were akin to apprenticeships, where women learned to respond to environmental shifts and socio-economic tides, perpetually adapting ancient practices to meet new challenges. Archaeological remains, from tools carved with the wear of age to artefacts wrought in elegance, whisper stories of women's labour. Each scythe or market scale found years later slumbers with the weight of history and countless hands that once wielded them. Through these relics we glimpse the tactile reality of women's daily lives, their labour forging an unyielding link between past and present, tradition and innovation. Women were dynamic participants in trade that stretched well beyond Egypt's borders, their commercial reach extending into realms where luxury goods like incense or spices were ferried along treacherous routes. Through shrewd planning and diplomacy, they fostered relationships that safeguarded Egypt's economic position, securing the flow of rare commodities that adorned its markets and homes. Yet the social framework allowing such participation was a double-edged sword. Progressive laws granted women a certain autonomy, yet these strides were often tempered by enduring patriarchal traditions. This complex weave of empowerment and restriction defined their reality, challenging them to harmonise aspirations with societal expectations. Through this exploration of Egypt's economic tapestry, the pivotal roles of its women echo through time, offering poignant reflections on gender and societal structures. We remember these women whose whispers had the power to shape not just fields, but a civilization's destiny, inviting us to honour their indelible mark on history as we consider the narratives of today. In the hushed corridors of ancient Egypt, illuminated only by flickering torches, the exchange of knowledge was a rare and treasured act. Here, education was carved out almost exclusively for the elite. Yet women found their way into this domain, threading pathways through the tapestry of tradition. Within royal households, daughters received instruction in the mysteries of writing, mathematics, and religious rituals, usually by priests or scribes. Texts like the Teaching of Ptah-hotep extolled wisdom as a cardinal virtue, not just for men but cherished in women, especially those of noble origin. Education was neither a straightforward right nor a commodity. It was entwined with familial status and wealth, a delicate balance of privilege and societal expectation. For women of power and influence, education held significance beyond the confines of stereotype. A well-educated woman could navigate the intricacies of religious practice, political landscape, and manage household estates with deftness and authority. Additionally, interpreting dreams or wielding ceremonial influence were roles tied inherently to a learned mind. Education allowed these women to transcend beyond traditional roles of motherhood or servanthood, leaving behind a legacy that whispered of potential and possibility in times where their opportunities were as limited as the Nile was vast. In the creative realm, women's subtle influence in art scenes was felt as strongly as the ancient sun's rays. Though often depicted in art as muses, women participated in the creation of treasured artifacts, jewellery, textiles, pottery, and more. Beyond the sacred portrayals of fertility and beauty, evidence from burial sites shows women equipped with tools of artistic trade, indicating their active roles in an industry weighted with cultural and religious significance. The artistic endeavours preserved in tomb paintings and reliquaries bear testament to a keen involvement. Their skills in colour and form narratives that championed women as indispensable to both the aesthetic and spiritual pursuits of society. Music too formed a vital strand in Egypt's vibrant cultural fabric, where women played significant roles as musicians, especially in religious settings. temple musicians and chantresses held revered positions as they wove the divine into the mortal realm. Their music, dedicated to deities like Hathor, was more than a ritual. It was a conduit, a tapestry of sound that connected listeners with celestial forces. Beyond temple walls, in secular gatherings, women brought harmony and rhythm to life's celebrations. Instruments like the harp and sistrum found meaning in their hands, echoing narratives that carried cultural memory and life lessons through musical notes and ethereal rhythms. Within the scribal world, the presence of women may have been rare, yet their contributions were profound. Female scribes like Nabet broke through male-dominated barriers, their hands once transcribing documents and capturing the ebb and flow of Egyptian society. Literacy endowed them with authority and broadened their horizons in both personal and official capacities. These scribes didn't confine their work to mere documentation, they transformed it into literature that inspired thought and shaped discourse. Though their echoes are faint, these early female scribes laid a durable foundation for the women who would follow, weaving stories and chronicling the rise and fall of dynasties. In the tactile art of sculpture, women also made discreet but significant marks. Commissioning and sometimes crafting sculptures, they instilled personal and societal ideals in stone and clay. Noble women guided the aesthetic direction of their time, seeing their preferences and philosophies etched into durable materials that outlived the cycles of kingdoms. Beyond commissioning, some women crossed into the realm of creators, their hands fashioning narratives into friezes and reliefs, immortalizing stories which conveyed cultural identities and divine myths. The expressive art of dance provided yet another dance floor for women's roles. Performance in ancient Egypt held deeper meanings than mere spectacle. It was ritualistic, often spiritual. Women dancers at temple festivals and celebrations not only entertained, but communicated mythological tales, their movements speaking directly to the gods. These ritual dances, both sacred dialogues and earthly celebrations, embodied emotions and shared values, threading cultural continuity into rhythmic steps performed under the moonlit sands. Fashion and weaving, practiced daily by women of all statuses, wove society's sartorial stories into vibrant patterns. Garments declared social standing, spiritual ties, and individual identity. Through the silent art of weaving, women communicated familial ties and cultural affiliations, crafting wearable tales as important as papyrus scrolls. Fashion thus became an unspoken but powerful narrative method, perpetuating economic, style, and social bridges woven into every hemline and seam. Languorous with women's engagement in hieroglyphics, some women unlock age-old secrets, absorbing their meanings for household or temple use. Hieroglyphs afforded them unexpected avenues of influence in estates and cultural rites, their engagement invisibly underpinning administrative and religious structures. Through their silent mastery of symbols, these women left intellectual imprints on the canvases of history. Lastly, storytelling and poetry allowed women to add their voices to the rich tapestry of Egyptian cultural expression. As poets and storytellers, they recounted tales of life, love, and the divine. Their words as fluid as the Nile's flow, as rich as its silt. While often anonymous, their verses bridged past and present, shaping cultural landscapes and enriching spiritual conversations with myths that remain vivid reminders of a vibrant communal heartbeat. As ancient as time itself, women carried the flame of wisdom through generations, their teachings vital to Egypt's continuity. Transference of knowledge from mothers to daughters ensured that cultural legacies endured, adapting through the passage of time, even as they preserved timeless traditions. With each lesson shared, ancient Egyptian women constructed the intellectual bedrock on which their descendants would erect societal structures imbued with understanding and endurance. If you enjoyed this glimpse into the tenacity and wisdom of ancient women, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more, and share these stories with friends, because these tales deserve to be heard.